This is The Ramsay Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's The Ramsay Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. This hour is dedicated to what has been called the greatest legal fraud in America today. Timeshares. Timeshares. You've heard me talking about timeshares, and if you're a current timeshare owner or you are a former timeshare owner and you want to talk, today is your day. The phone number is 888-825-5225. We'd like to hear from you. Maybe you worked for or do work for these scumburgers, and you want to tell what really goes on behind the curtain. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, right, Mikey? Yeah. Mikey is Mike Flasky, the CEO of Diamond International, one of the three largest timeshare providers in the world, and by far one of the scummiest. So Mikey and I have had interaction on Twitter. He calls me Davey, by the way. It's a mutual, lovely affair we have going. So if you want to take our survey, we would love to hear from you. If you also are a timeshare owner or former owner, text timeshare to 33789. We're doing a research project on how dissatisfied the customers are. And if you're satisfied, that's fine. Tell the truth. Maybe you love your timeshare. That would make you statistically unusual, but that's fine. We'd love to hear from you. I want actually real data on what's really going on out there in the real world, not from timeshare world, not from somewhere else. University of Central Florida did a survey that said 87% of the people they surveyed hate their timeshare. They felt like they got ripped off. How do you stay in business when 87% of your customers think you screwed them? Let me just tell you, there is nothing greedier and hungrier than a timeshare salesman. When you make this bargain, effectively, what you're doing is the zookeeper comes up and says, hey, we'll give you a free pass to the zoo for a year, but all you got to do is go into the tiger cage and sit and pet the tiger for 2 hours. By the way, the tiger's not eaten in 3 days. He might be a bit hungry. He might be a little greedy. And so you're supposed to go into the tiger cage and pet the tiger for 3 hours, and then you get a free pass to the zoo. If you survive. No one does. Very few people get out of the tiger cage alive. Most of them get eaten. And you know what eaten means? Now you're a timeshare owner! Oh, joyful! You've been screwed. That's what this amounts to. If you want to talk about timeshares, obviously I'm going to be doing that for the next, 45 minutes or so. You jump in. The phone number is 888-825-5225. I want to hear from you. Hey folks, I got a great option to help you pay for your education. The Army National Guard. The Army National Guard believes you are the next greatest generation because you have proven that even in adversity, that you have what it takes to succeed. That's why they offer benefits like tuition assistance, career training, and a paycheck to help you avoid debt. No matter what your goals are, the Army National Guard can help you get there. Visit nationalguard.com to find out more. So Hilton is buying Diamond International for $1.4 billion. Hilton, you're going to screw up your brand. Several of the shareholders at Hilton are objecting to the purchase. And there's some activist shareholders that are jumping out there trying to block the purchase. It's not closed yet. It should close in August. I think the Hilton board is going to go ahead with it because they've got their heads stuck up their timeshare. Because all they see is how much money Diamond makes, but they don't realize the brand damage they're going to do to the wonderful name of Hilton. Sad. Wonder if enough of you stockholders at Hilton actually raised your hand and said, we don't want to own scummy stuff, if they would actually stop the deal. That'd be interesting. Debbie is in El Paso. Debbie, tell me your timeshare story.
Hi, Dave. Well, speaking of Hilton, that is who I bought my timeshare from, Hilton Grand Vacations.
Oh.
Back in 2018. In Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm. What happened?
We got suckered into going to a presentation for, of course, a free weekend in Vegas. All expenses paid and all of the good stuff they try to throw in. We were promised a cruise as well, which we never took. And we went to the timeshare. We had our two boys with us at the time were, I think, 12 and 15 years old, and they stayed back at the room while we went to the presentation. And we were there probably at least 3 hours. And our presenter, after meddling into our lives, he found out we were Christian, and he kept throwing Christian scripture after scripture at us, how God wanted to bless us, and God's blessings were abundant, and we should bless ourselves and our family with this great vacation home. And we ended up doing it, unfortunately.
How much did you pay for it?
Well, the total price on our contract was almost $35,000, and they were adamant about, well, we have this great offer. American Express is teaming up with us at Hilton, and we are offering this credit card. You guys can put $8,000 down on it, and you get extra points right away, and everything will be great. So we signed up for the credit card, put $8,000 on that card right away, and they swooped us off to a different room to sign papers and this and that, and then they took us on a bus ride to a condo that was supposed to be exactly like our condo that we just purchased, supposedly. It was a great place. It was overlooking Vegas with all the fancy things. It was like, I think, a 5-bedroom suite, and had pop-up TVs and every amenity you can think of. And they just told you, you can invite your family and friends and come to Vegas on New Year's Eve. And so we were pretty excited about it until we got home. And, we thought, okay, well, let's see if we can book this place for New Year's. And, of course, no, that's not available. It's been booked out for years, and you only have a certain window that you can stay at one of our places, which we didn't know at the time.
Oh, wait a minute. So they lied to you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Just making sure we're clear that Hilton Grand Vacations lied to Debbie in El Paso. Okay, I'm just making sure we get that straight.
They did lie. And yeah, in fact, they said it wasn't a timeshare. This is a vacation opportunity, and you can vacation not only in Vegas, but you can vacation all over the world and go to different places and have new experiences. And, after a couple of months of paying our monthly payments and trying to get a even just to go to back to Vegas, they had nothing available except maybe a 1-bedroom place that wasn't even the location that we saw. And, that's when we said, okay, we've been had and we're not going to do this anymore. And we had heard about your timeshare exit, the people that you share with people online. And so we contacted them. And after about a year and a half of going through dealings with the timeshare exit people, we got released.
Oh, they got you out. Good.
Yes.
Good.
Thank God.
They got about 20,000 people out, so that's good. All right.
Yeah, they did get us out.
Way to go. So that was, but that costs money too, of course. They charge you $2,000 or $3,000 for that, right?
Oh, it was more than that.
Was it? Okay.
But
you got out. You got out of a $27,000 loan, and you had to pay the $8,000 credit card debt, I'm sure.
Yes. But we're out, and we will never do that again.
Well, for that matter, you probably won't even go into a Hilton again, like for a hotel stay.
No.
Anything that says Hilton on it after you got kicked in the teeth that bad, you're not going to want to do business with.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. I'm so sorry.
Yep.
Well, thank you for sharing your story. So your advice obviously is don't go to the presentation.
Do not go. Don't go.
Don't go for the free vacation. Don't go to the presentation. And whatever they say, you can tell they're lying if their mouth is moving.
Yes, exactly. Don't even listen. Yeah.
Debbie, thank you for calling in and sharing your story. Jonathan has a story. He's in Richmond, Virginia. Jonathan, tell me your timeshare story.
Hey, Dave, how are you today?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Fantastic. So this is a story about getting out of the lion cage or the tiger cage with my limbs intact.
All right.
So
you made it.
This is wild. Almost sounds like a movie, and I swear it's true. So my wife had found something online about if we went to this presentation down in Williamsburg, Virginia, that we would get free airline tickets and a hotel room to use anytime we wanted. And we're like, okay, that sounds pretty good. So we go down to this thing, and we get put into this room and I don't know what company it was. It might have been Wingate. I'm not sure. I don't remember. It was about 4 or 5 years ago. Okay. And we got put into this room. And this guy comes running into the room, and he goes, "Oh, my gosh, guys, I'm so sorry. The normal person who does these presentations isn't here today, so I'm going to do your presentation. But I'm sorry, I'm not used to doing them, so it's going to be kind of winging it." And we're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, whatever." I mean, we're eating our granola bars and drinking our orange juice that they provided, and, we're like, cool, whatever. And so he launches into this thing, and the first thing they show us is a presentation, and the very first 5 minutes is that first scene in Up. Remember where you've seen the movie where he meets his wife and they go through their life and she passes away, and it's heartbreaking, right? Mm-hmm. So their whole push is it's about family and your well-being and enjoying your life.
Which, by the way, showing a video clip like that's copyrighted would be illegal.
Exactly, and that's one thing we that's a whole other ballgame. But anyway, so he gets off, he stops the video because his mom calls him. The dude's mom calls him in the middle of his presentation.
This guy's a real schmoozer.
Oh, it's amazing. And he answers the phone. And she's like, "Should I answer? It's my mom." And he puts it on speaker, and this woman on the other end, I say woman because we question that later on. My wife and I are like, "Oh, I don't think so." Like, she talks about her ailments and stuff. And anyway, we go to this woman. They send us off in these individual
I'll tell you what, man, I want to hear the rest of this. This is fabulous. I'm going to put you on hold. We're going to talk about it after the break. It's a timeshare special hour, talking to real people with real experiences.
Still on baby step number 1, eh?
How'd you guess?
With healthcare costs rising, learn how Christian Healthcare Ministries can help you make the most out of your budget. Visit chministries.org/budget.
Don't worry. It's worth it.
Talking about what has arguably been called the largest legalized fraud in America today, timeshares, and the crazy extremes these people go through to sell them. We're talking with Jonathan in Richmond, Virginia, and he starts telling a story of a guy who busts in to do the sales presentation, claims he had to show up and do it but he'd never done it before, so he's not going to be very good at it. Gets his mom on the phone while he's on stage because he's talking about how important it is to your family to have a vacation together. And that's where we left Jonathan off. So that's obviously not his mom on the phone.
Yeah, that's honestly when my wife and I went to leave, we sat in our car and literally laughed at the whole experience.
It was like that movie Tin Men. Or Tin Men. Yeah, Tin Men. Those guys, Richard Dreyfuss, remember that? And they're selling aluminum siding?
Uh-huh. It was like a movie. I'm telling you, Dave, it was wild because it gets even better. So if you're ready, let's finish this puppy up the rest of our experience. So this guy finishes up, and they then send all the couples, so this is about 25 couples, each with an individual representative to show us the property and how beautiful it was. And let me tell you, Dave, the property was not that beautiful. It was probably about as nice as the old apartment complex my wife and I lived in when we got married.
Oh, I had one of those. Yeah, I did that. Oh, gross. Gross.
To write home about. So anyway, we go meet our rep, who's this young lady, probably about late 20s, and we go. She's like, "Oh, it's a big property. Why don't we go in my van?" So we go to her van, and it has European license plates on it, which I'm like, okay, and I recognize that right away, having lived in a foreign country for a while. I'm like, okay, that's weird. It's hard to bring a car into this country from another country. Okay, whatever. And she's like, yeah, my husband was military and he recently left me and I'm single mom now. And she's like, here's the booster seats and all the toys and the mess in the car. We're like, okay, sure. So we get in and she drives us around, look at this property, and we go, blah, blah, blah. We come back to the finishing room, kind of like their where they gather everyone at an individual table. Mm-hmm. And we sit there with her and she just drills into us the costs and what do we like about this. And we're stone faced. We're sitting there going, okay, cool. Can we get out of here now? And no. We're telling them no, this isn't working for us. And then they bring in the big guns. So this guy comes over and says, hey, what do we need to do for this? And what price point can we give you? He starts breaking it down by day, how much it will cost us by day. And we're like, oh, come my gosh, you guys are kidding me. And this guy has a sob story too. Like, oh, it's so important to your family. I had stage 3 cancer and I beat it. And I have pictures to prove it of me. And had I not done this, it would have ruined my family. And we're like, oh my gosh, just get us out of here. And so we finally just said, you know what? No, we're done. Give us what we came for. And they finally relented, and the lady who took us around, the sweet young girl's like, oh, what a shame you don't care about your family. And we're like, yeah, whatever. And we actually did get 2 free airline tickets and a free hotel night, and we used it to go to New Orleans for free. Okay. We actually did get something out of it. Okay. And the guy who even gave it to us said, whoa, that's a really good perk. He said, it's a shame you didn't take this. Are you sure you don't want this great product? And we're like, oh my goodness, get us out of here. And my wife and I, we got in the car, we laughed and felt like we needed to take a shower afterwards because it felt that slimy. It was awful. So
now the big question is, you got out alive. Mm-hmm. And you got a great story out of it because this is just it's so ridiculous that it is kind of comedic. But that is their model. I mean, this is who these people are. Now, would you do it again for airline tickets?
Absolutely not. No, we have the money. We're going to pay cash.
It wasn't worth it. No. It wasn't worth it. So yeah, your advice is, even though you got out of the tiger cage alive, your advice is, don't pet the tiger. I love it. All right, Troy is with us. Troy is in Columbia, South Carolina. Troy, tell me your timeshare story.
Hey, Dave. Thanks for taking the call.
Sure.
Wow. We started back in 2008. My wife was going to the beach, and I was to join them later on there in the week. We officially bought the world's most expensive beach portraits. That was the catch to get us in, I guess you would say.
You're taking a picture of you on the beach, and this is the prize.
That's it. Yeah, $24,000 later. The lions and tigers and sharks ripped us apart.
Which company was this?
This is wonderful Westgate.
Westgate. All right. And you were where?
Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach. All right. Westgate and Myrtle Beach. So to get a beach portrait, you go pet the tiger. You buy a $24,000 timeshare at Myrtle Beach.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's 2008. So you still got it?
We still have it. It's paid for. We want to get out of it. Every time we go somewhere, every time we go on vacation, we can't seem to get the week that we want to go. And, it's always booked up. We might have to book 2 months out from the date that we want.
It's almost as if you would ask for the wrong date, you would get the one you wanted.
Yeah, maybe.
So how many times have you actually used it?
We've used it every year since 2009.
Okay. But never on the date that you wanted.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not going to get it.
And I have my wife here with me, too. Her name's Tanya, so you hear her in the background.
Yeah, what'd she say?
I'm so excited. I'm about to burst.
So has the property maintenance fees gone up through this time?
Oh yeah, every year it goes up. It was, when we first started out, the property maintenance fees weren't so bad, but we were shown the model of what the site was going to look like. New buildings, parking garage, swimming pool on top of buildings. They have the model still in the resort, and they still sell it to.
They're still selling the model, and they never built it since 2009?
That is correct, sir.
And that's what you were promised? That's fraud.
That's what I've been saying. Not to mention the fact that they held our kids for 6 hours. Wouldn't bring them back to us until we finally said, fine, just whatever. Here, let me sign the paper and let me get my kids back, please.
Wow.
It was a mess, and it still is. Every year we get told, we're VIP people. Y'all must be very important. Well, I told my wife, I said, I think I figured out what VIP stands for. It's very ignorant people. And we fell victim to them, even though we tried. We tried hard not to. They were relentless, Dave. Relentless.
Man, I appreciate you having a sense of humor and being willing to tell your story, because it's hard to tell a story when you mess up. I tell my mess up story all the time, and I've gotten used to telling it. But, man, when you pay stupid tax, it hurts. It really does. $24,000, and basically you've gotten a handful of weeks out of it. And really, with what you paid in maintenance fees alone, you could have rented the hotel for that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
We kept it a secret for a long time because we were pretty embarrassed that we fell for it.
Oh, yeah. The shame.
Yeah, we didn't want anybody knowing.
We're going to have to have Dr. John Deloney build a timeshare buyers support group.
I'm sorry.
I said we're going to have Dr. Deloney build a timeshare buyers support group. My name is Troy, and I bought a timeshare.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
But, yeah, we're looking to try to get rid of it. We've been contacted by West Financial Group, which is a lawyer that wants to help. A little bit pricey, and we had J&T Solutions call us. I don't know enough about these places, but I don't want to get scammed again.
Yeah.
So, I'm being very cautious.
Yeah, I know the Wesley folks. I don't know J&T, and I don't know enough about the either one of them to endorse either one of them, but I don't blame you for checking it out. That's for sure. So, hey, man, thanks for calling in. We appreciate you sharing with us. One of the other interesting phenomenons that has happened with the timeshare people is attorneys are occasionally contacted by timeshare owners. And like that last guy where they've been straight up, we promise you a building in this model, and 10 years later they've not built the building. So that would be under the heading of fraud, which is an actual thing, by the way. And you timeshare people don't seem to know that, but it's an actual thing. Fraud is a thing. And fraud is a reason to get contracts invalidated in court, always. If you were defrauded, then the contract can be easily set aside in court. So attorneys often will take a case like that and contact the timeshare company, and the timeshare company will go, oh, okay, and they just let them out. But they wouldn't let the people out before, but you get an attorney involved. Well, if an attorney does that too many times, the timeshare people get pissed off. And what's happened is they've put this concerted effort to put the attorneys out of business. So they sue the attorney that has been getting people out and bury him in legal costs and discovery challenges and everything else, to where a small practice attorney, 3 or 4 person attorney office, can get run out of business by them being sued, even though they didn't do anything wrong. But it's just they just bury you in legal costs, because the timeshare business, they make billions of dollars, billions with a B. And so to chase down some attorney, several of the attorneys that have been sued got together and hired an attorney. So as a group, now they are countersuing again and trying to stop the timeshare business from doing this to them, because several of them have been run out of the business. One of the guys that got sued regularly by them is a guy named Scott Montgomery. He's an attorney in Missouri. And that's a true story about what happened to you, wasn't it, Scott? Didn't run you out of business, but they tried.
They sure did, Dave. They're trying their best, but we're hanging in there. We had a hearing yesterday down in the federal court in Florida on our motion for an injunction to try and stop this sham litigation against attorneys who represent timeshare owners.
Did it go well?
I think it did, Dave. The judge is a scholar of the law, and if we don't win on this motion, I know that we will ultimately prevail on the merits. But these timeshare pushers, they're like drug dealers. We hear from our many clients, that they have even divorced. They've separated from their spouse because of the financial ruin caused by these timeshare pushers. I know of one man who lived by your advice, Dave. He never had a debt that he didn't pay. He was a hardworking man, and he paid his debts until he went into the tiger cage. And when he came out of the tiger cage, he had more debt than he could handle. And you know what happened to him? The timeshare pusher, they published a notice for all of the world to see that they were foreclosing upon him. And they said this man could not pay his debts. And he was so embarrassed. He was so ashamed that he took his own life.
Oh, my gosh.
He committed suicide after he went into the tiger cage.
Wow.
So if you think that you can go into the tiger cage because you want 2 free nights, or the body snatchers got to you, and you're going to come out on the other end okay, well, you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
So you've been pretty regularly suing the timeshare business and getting people out. That's why they're pissed at you and suing you, trying to bury you. what is most? How many people have you gotten out? Can you say? Is that something you can talk about?
Sure. We've been doing this for several years. We've gotten out about 1,500 people. We represent about 17,000 people in a class action against Blue Green, and we are working for many other defrauded, mostly elderly people to try and get them out as we speak.
So out of the one-offs, not the class action, but the one-offs, what is the typical reason from a legal perspective that they would, that basically you're saying you did this, you're accusing them of wrongdoing of some kind. What is the typical wrongdoing that causes them to bow and release the consumer?
Well, Dave, there are dozens of different timeshare pushers in this country. Some are more reasonable than others, and some will negotiate a settlement with you when you point out that, look, your timeshare salesperson, that felon that you employed to sit across the table from a buyer, they committed fraud, they committed negligent misrepresentation. They violated a state unlawful merchandising practices act, or you charge them illegal document preparation fees. When we point out how they have violated the law, a reasonable timeshare company will often negotiate a settlement. Others will not negotiate a settlement, and you have to go to litigation. You have to go to arbitration. You have to file a class action, and it's extremely difficult. These timeshare pushers, they like to sell their financed-backed securities every year to Wall Street banker types. Wyndham sells hundreds of millions of dollars of timeshare mortgages to Wall Street bankers. So if you're one of those people who agreed to sign a timeshare mortgage to finance the purchase of your timeshare, it's a whole lot harder for me to get you out of your timeshare obligation than if you're a person who just financed it, who just paid out of pocket and who's paid in full, who's current on their maintenance fees. It's much easier for a lawyer to negotiate a settlement for that person who is known in the industry as paid in full.
Yeah. Well, because they no longer, in like that example with Wyndham, you said they are Westgate. Who was it they sold? Anyway, they're packaging them together. They're selling them on hedge funds, much like a mortgage-backed security, except there's no mortgage because there's no actual real estate. They're selling air. But these are basically unsecured loans. But they don't own the loan anymore. And you go to them and say, you committed fraud. And they go, yeah, I know, but we've sold the loan. So you got to deal with hedge fund company over here that now owns the loan. And you can't get that forgiven because that company hadn't done anything wrong. They just bought bad papers, the only thing they did wrong.
You're exactly right, Dave. And the insidious thing that is going on here, I'm sure you know more about Dodd-Frank than I do, but that was the law that was passed by our United States Congress to try and deal with the subprime home lending crisis back in 2008. Well, the timeshare pushers got together and they lobbied Congress and they got an exclusion for themselves where Dodd-Frank does not apply to timeshare mortgages. So they're doing the same thing. They're engaging in the same tactics with the same big banks that occurred back in 2008 and caused the home lending crisis. That's going on now in the timeshare space because they had one captive congressman from down in Florida, and he snuck the word timeshare mortgage into an exclusion from Dodd-Frank. So they can prey on unsuspecting consumers who have zero ability to repay and sell them timeshares and sell them a mortgage, and Dodd-Frank doesn't apply to them.
Yeah, they can knowingly make a bad loan and then sell that loan in bulk, those bad loans in bulk to hedge funds. And they put them on the books looking for a great rate of return. And of course, if the consumer doesn't pay, it's not Wyndham or Westgate or Diamond then that's calling them. It's the hedge fund that bought the loan. That's who they now owe the money to, and that's who's going to sue them if they don't pay on their timeshare, right?
That's exactly right, Dave. That's what's going on, and our government needs to fix it. And God bless you, Dave, for being a champion for all of these people who have been defrauded by these timeshare pushers.
Thank you, Scott. Scott Montgomery from Missouri. He's an attorney there that has successfully removed 1,500 people and has $17,000 in a class action suit on Blue Green right now. Wow. This is a nasty, nasty space. When you get in a room with those people, you really do feel like you need to take a shower when you're done. Ugh. This is The Ramsay Show. Have a friend or family member that needs a daily dose of Ramsey advice in their life? Let them know about the Ramsey Call of the Day podcast. It's a quick hit of advice about life and money in under 10 minutes. Check out the Ramsey Call of the Day podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. This is The Ramsay Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's The Ramsay Show. Where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. Christy Wright, Ramsey personality, #1 best-selling author, is my co-host today. Open phones as we answer your questions about your life and your money. The phone number here, 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. Sam's with us in New York City to start off this hour. Hey, Sam, how are you?
I'm doing well. It's a pleasure to speak to you.
You too. What's up?
Life's great. Quick question for you. I am newly married. I am expecting our first child, God willing, in about a month.
Yay!
Thank you. We have about 50 combined, about $50,000 or $60,000 sitting in an account jointly between our two accounts. About $16,000 so far in some, like $10,000 is in like the S&P 500 and $6,000 in some mutual funds that my wife had before we got married. I have about $28,000 sitting in Canada and some investments. I'm originally Canadian. My question to you is, with this $60,000, which by the way, this is including the emergency fund. We didn't like split it out yet. It's just sitting in an account. My question to you is to take that money to put it into real estate as opposed to the market. I know you're a big fan of mutual funds and so on and so forth. I just want to hear your thoughts.
Okay. Do you have any debt?
No, zero debt.
Oh, that's cool. Good for you. Well, I'm a big fan of having a huge pile of cash when a baby's on the way. And when baby comes and baby and mommy are okay and you come home, then we kind of push play on what we call our baby steps. And so if you're debt-free, then your first baby step would be to set aside, as you said, the emergency fund. I'd carve some of that out. And, Christy, we always say 3 to 6 months of expenses.
Yeah, and I think one of the cool things is you guys already have this in place before the baby comes. A lot of people are trying to stockpile cash for a baby, and you're already there. And so once the baby's here and healthy, then you can put any of that extra on your investments, baby steps 4, 5, and 6, paying off the house. Do you guys own your home?
No, so we're renting. We're renting now. I mean, the plan is to buy in the next couple of years. So you're saying is to wait it out until after my wife gives birth. And
Yeah, just hold on to that. Yeah, just hold on to the cash because it's just good to have that extra cushion when you're bringing a baby into the world, just for any unexpected medical expenses, that type of thing. And then whatever your next goal is, if your next goal is to buy a house at some point, then some of that can go into savings to save up for a down payment on a house. So it really just, the baby steps are there to guide you what the goals should be, but where you are with having your emergency fund and then, you know, your investments and so on, then you can start looking at that goal of saving for a house as well.
Got it. And you think our emergency fund should be a little bigger, being that my wife's on maternity leave. She's not going to be working for the next couple of months. I mean, she stopped working a couple of weeks ago. Just wanted her to like have more of a chilled coming up to the delivery.
Can you make it on your income?
So I'm self-employed.
I know. Can you make it on your income?
I make anywhere between $600 to $3,000 a week. So it's like a little nerve-wracking. Like, it hit me last night a little bit, but today, next 2 days, I'm gonna be making like almost $2,000. So,
well, realistically, during the time your wife is on maternity leave, can you make it on your income?
I should be able to, yeah.
Okay. Then you shouldn't need the emergency fund. It shouldn't come up. I think you can. I think you're just being a new daddy worrywart, which means you're a good dad. Okay, you're concerned about your family. That's a good thing. But I think you're going to do it. I think you're going to bust it and make sure that you make enough to live on while she's on maternity leave, and you won't need to touch it. But I would have a fully funded emergency fund, and I would set the rest of the money aside for my house fund, and then I would begin putting 15% of my income away in retirement in good mutual funds. But I think you're fine to park that money for real estate, for a purchase. But no, I would not buy real estate as an investment right now. I think you're saving for your first home, a big down payment above your emergency fund. And that's how I'm going to start allocating that stuff out.
Well, that's the reason, too, that we even suggest a range for your emergency fund, 3 to 6 months. Different people have different comfort levels, different incomes. And so if it gives you more comfort, Sam, to have a 6-month emergency fund instead of a 3-month, then you can do that as well if it gives you peace of mind.
Yeah, I would do that. But I would do that and plan not to touch it.
Not use it, yeah.
Plan to live on your income.
Yeah.
Because we know this is all coming. Jeff's with us in Cape Cod. Hi, Jeff. Welcome to the Ramsay Show.
Hey, how we doing today?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Excellent. So just trying to find out kind of what you would do in my situation, or if I'm handling this correctly. Back in October, my wife wanted a divorce and left, leaving me with the house, 2 dogs, and 2 children as a stay-at-home dad for the last 3 years.
Wow.
She then lied in court and got awarded the house, resulting in me and the children having to leave with no income and no job. I've since started a handyman home improvement business and have about $4,000 saved, but I'm having trouble finding an apartment, and I definitely can't get a mortgage. So kind of just looking to see what you would do.
Why are you having trouble finding an apartment?
One, just getting callbacks from real estate agents or landlords. 2, they need, they're requiring pay stubs, which I don't have because I'm self-employed for.
They rent apartments all the time to self-employed people.
Is there a place to find those? I've never had to rent before. I've always been able to buy a home until now. The only place I know is, apartments.com or Zillow.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, you make a list of the rental properties in the area off of several different sites that you can find, and you call them one at a time, and you call the real estate agent that's involved one at a time, and you make a list of the apartments in the area, and you start calling them one at a time. You don't have to go through Zillow. You don't have to go through a website or apartments.com. You can just look up and go, there's an apartment right over there. I'm going to call those people. There's one over there. I'm going to call those people. And there's one over there, and I'm going to call those people. And just sit. And you don't have anything more important to do than to get you and the kids off the street. That's your number one goal.
Right. Yeah, we currently live in a camper at a campground. I picked it up for $100. That's the beginning of the spring. It was the best thing I could think of at the time.
Yeah.
Jeff, I just hear fear in your voice. And listen, exactly like Dave said, you can do this. Listen, you can do this. You're going to start looking at the apartments one at a time. You're going to take one step at a time. You're scared, but you can do this.
How old are your kids?
2 and 3.
Okay. Yeah, the 3-year-old's going to write a best-selling book when he's extremely successful that talks about the time that he lived in a camper and how he and his dad came all the way back from that. It's going to be a great story. Now go write it. Stop paying your overpriced wireless provider and switch to Pure Talk. They use the same network as the larger providers for much less. For just $30 a month, get unlimited talk, text, and 6 gigs of data with no contract. The average family saves over $70 a month by switching to Pure Talk. Just go to puretalk.com and enter the promo code Ramsey to save 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, simply smarter wireless. Christy Wright, Ramsey Personality, is our co-host today. Open phones at 888-825-5225. At some point, every business owner has to stop daydreaming about their business idea and actually go do it. Once you're working hard to grow your business, you'll need advice about how to take it to the next level. No matter which stage you're in, you can make money doing what you love. And the Business Boutique Conference will show you how to make it happen. October 14th through the 16th, I will join a lineup of rock star speakers, including Christy Wright, Anthony O'Neill, Jasmine Starr, Nona Jones, and Bianca Olthoff.
You got it.
And making sure I said that right.
That's right.
And walk you through all the different ways you can build your business. Starting and running a business is a big deal. We'd love to have you. We've been doing this event, this Business Boutique event, for many years. Christy is a rock star. And 3-day event in person in Nashville, $89. Or guess what? You can also look at the live stream. Text boutique to 33789. Boutique to 33789. Christy, this event has a different level of energy.
Yeah, that's an understatement. I don't know if it's because it's all women, and there really is something about that crowd, that the fact that it's a women's conference is so, it feels safe, but it's also exciting. And what's cool is you have a variety of people represented in the crowd. It's some small businesses, some side businesses. Some women are running, small, medium-sized teams. You got home-based hobby business. You got nonprofits. You got everybody in there, but they're all moving forward, chasing their dream, trying to figure out how to do this thing, and we give them the tools and the solutions to do that. Talk about marketing, money, social media, all those things that they need help with.
October 14th through the 16th, Business Boutique in Nashville, $89. Text boutique to 33789. Boutique to 33789. Our question of the day comes from Blinds.com. They have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. That means even if you mess up, if you mismeasure, you pick the wrong color, like I've done before, they'll remake your window blinds for free. This is a great company. Free samples, free shipping, new promos all the time. Blinds.com. Use the promo code Ramsey.
Today's question comes from Matthew in South Carolina. I'd love your opinion and tips on how to start a cleaning business. I work a full-time job making $38,000 before taxes. I've always had a niche for cleaning and want to start my own business. I have no clue about where to start, what to save up, how to apply for business loans, etc. I have no debt and I'm on baby step 3. I'd appreciate any help you can give me. What's interesting about this question, Dave, is I get a similar question often, which is this idea that you've got to have this big, huge savings account. You've got to apply for loans. You've got to do all this stuff to start a business. Look, get you some cleaners and start cleaning. Get some cleaning supplies. Reach out to people, start cleaning in your neighborhood, start word of mouth, post on your Facebook page, get a little bit scrappy, Matthew in South Carolina, and start doing this thing on the side. You do not need business loans, not for any business, but especially not for this business. And you can start really small with the cash that you have to get some cleaning supplies and start doing this. It doesn't have to be a big deal.
Yeah, this is what we've done, Matthew, here. It started on a card table in my living room coming up on 30 years ago. And never borrowed money. 100%. We took what we had and went and made some money with it. And we took that money and grew the business and took what we had and went and made some money with it. And that's called organically growing your business, meaning the money that's here is the money we use to grow this business. And it has worked all the way up to where we are today. And so And it can start with a bottle of 409 and some rags.
That's right. That's right. Of all businesses, this is a very easy business that you want to do to start small with what you have with some cash on your hand.
Yeah, and the trick is to get the first job.
Yeah.
And then they give you money, and you take that money and you can upgrade your supplies, your tools, and some printed materials or a business card or whatever you want to do. And then you take that money from that next job and you can grow a little bit more. And then you get to actually start making some money beyond your costs, and you keep adding revenue. Yep. And the revenue is what you use to grow this business with, nothing else.
Yep.
A business alone in this situation would be ludicrous. That's what Christy's saying, and she's exactly right. So we're going to avoid that at all costs. Chuck is with us in Orlando. Hi, Chuck. How are you?
I'm doing great, Mr. Ramsey. It's a pleasure to speak with you.
You too. What's up?
Well, I was just wondering if you could, first let me just qualify by saying thank you guys so much for the advice that you give. You guys have helped our family so much. Me and my wife are so grateful. We're actually debt-free. We paid our home off.
Wow.
No debt whatsoever. Thank you so much. But I was wondering if you could just speak into a little bit that feeling of, I don't know if you call it restlessness or, kind of, to me, I kind of define it by saying that you feel like you're drowning in a sea of options a little bit once you're debt-free. And I know it's a wonderful problem to have, but for us, it's just felt, at least for the past several months since we paid our home off and officially became debt-free, that we are kind of looking for what to do next, and we're kind of a little bit fearful. The purpose is so baked in when you're, gazelle intense, you're paying off debt, you're frugal. It changes a lot of things about your life. And, for us, we're very happy to be where we are, and we definitely are very grateful. But we just seem to be a little stuck on kind of what to do next.
I'm so curious your answer to this, Dave, because I was just talking to a friend about this the other day where she was saying someone had said once you become completely debt-free, it's almost you struggle to find what's the next goal. What do you talk to people about that? That's so interesting.
Well, you need a goal. That's what you need, and because that's what's missing. You had a goal that was very clearly defined. It was right in front of you. In this case, it was the villain, the debt. You're trying to kill the villain, right? And but now we get to switch gears, and we go from villain as a goal to prosperity as a goal, and generosity as a goal. And so there's three things you can do with money, and you need to be doing all three, and you need to be doing them in writing and on purpose towards a goal. And number one is, generosity. Number two is investing. And number three is just, lifestyle, enjoying, fun. And so I have a goal to take a trip and spend 3 weeks in Africa or 3 weeks in Australia, which I've done both of in the last 3 or 4 years. I have a goal of buying a lake house. These are lifestyle things you're going to do, and you start saving towards that goal. Put a number on it, and it becomes that portion of your budget that you're putting towards fun or lifestyle. You go towards that. I have a goal of building an orphanage. I have a goal of, I had a goal that was pretty cool. I saw a guy one time, he told me he had given away, that year he had given away $1 million. And I thought, man, that's pretty cool. And I did that. And then, okay, now what am I going to do? Because I climbed that mountain. Now what are you going to do? I thought, I want to give away $1 million in one day. And then I was able to do that year before last.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So with the Christmas presents we gave to our team and some support for a local orphanage and some other things we did, we were able in one day, in one morning, we gave away $1 million. So, you got to have something that you just go, okay, I'm going to go. This is my new thing. I'm going to go for that. And I'm going to go for that. And on the investing side, I keep up with net worth just because, not because I'm building bigger barns or something, but it's just a way I got to keep score somewhere on my goal. And so, you hit a net worth of $1 million, and you want to hit a net worth of $5 million, and you want to hit a net worth of $10 million. It's not because you're just greedy and trying to gather up money, but it's just you need to be aiming at something with this investing. Otherwise, it just seems to be spinning off into nothingness. And so a clearly defined, measurable goal, just like I want to have my house paid off by this date, I want to have $1.5 million net worth by that date, that kind of a thing. And so it is all about goals. But you ought to really have some acquisition goals for fun or travel goals or whatever they are. I want to buy that sports car goal for fun, and you ought to have some for generosity. I don't care what it is. I want to fund missionaries. I want to fund 400 missionaries. I don't care. Whatever it is, But figure it out and write it down and put a dollar figure to it and then put a time limit on it. And that'll give you your traction back. Of Ramsey Solutions on the debt-free stage. Lauren is with us. Hey, Lauren, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Better than I deserve. Welcome. Where do you live?
Carlisle, Pennsylvania.
All right. Fun. What's that near?
That is right outside of Harrisburg.
Oh, okay. Cool. Know where you are. So all the way to Nashville to do a debt-free scream. How much have you paid off?
$74,555.74.
There you go. To the penny.
How long did this take?
21 months.
Yeah. And your range of income during that time?
$42,000 up to $50,000.
Wow. Okay. So what kind of debt was the $75,000?
All student loans.
Whoa.
What'd you go to school for?
I have a bachelor's degree in sociology and a master's degree in higher education.
Ah, good for you. Okay. What do you do for a living?
I work as a student affairs professional in higher education.
Ah, good. Okay. And so that income should be heading right up then.
Hopefully. Yeah. That's the idea.
Good. Very good. Okay, so did you get out of school 21 months ago? What happened 21 months ago that started this journey?
So this really started for me back when I was a kid, actually. I remember watching my parents struggle with money so much, and I would have conversations with myself, and I would say, whenever you grow up, you're never going to have this fear and anxiety that you're feeling right now watching your parents struggle. So then I grew up, went to college, and did everything normal. I took out student loans because I didn't know anything different. And then in 2018, in November 2018, right before I was heading into my last semester of grad school, I remember talking to my dad and just saying how fearful I was of these student loans and that I didn't know how I was going to make these payments. And he happened to mention your name.
Oh.
So it kind of started off from there. I dove into the podcast and I ended up taking Financial Peace University in January of that year.
Oh, wow.
And then once I graduated in May, I landed a job. And then once I got my job, I started running in June.
Yeah, just going wide open. Live like a college student and pay it off.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And you basically did $35,000 a year for 2 years is basically your numbers, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And hardly made that.
Yeah.
You've been on beans and rice.
Well, luckily, my mom picked up the pieces a lot and let me live at home for free.
Ah, okay.
That helped.
Nice to have a cheerleader in your corner. Very good. And some help like that. Very, very cool. So what do you tell people the key to getting out of debt is now?
I think there's really 3 things that drove this home for me. The first one is really know your why and turn it into a vision. Every day, get up and visualize what your why is, because that's what's going to drive you through this process.
What was your why? No anxiety?
My why was remembering that feeling that I had as a kid and never wanting to feel that again.
Yeah. That's a good one.
The second thing is commit to the plan. Just do it. Stop questioning it.
No
just
ish.
commit. Yes.
That's good.
And then the third one is believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, it doesn't matter if somebody else believes in you or what you're seeing on social media. I actually took a social media hiatus for a year because I couldn't take the anxiety of it.
Yeah.
That's really powerful, Lauren. Like those 3 points are really, really powerful. And that could apply to lots of things, right? Like the believe in yourself. That's really, but one of the things you said that I love is when you were talking about a little bit your journey, that you just went to college and did things normal. And I think sometimes inside this building, I'll say, for myself, Dave, I can take for granted that what we do here is weird. It is different. When you go to college, it's just normal to take out loans. It's normal to have credit cards. You don't even question it. You didn't even feel like you were doing anything wrong because you're like, oh no, this is just what you do, how you go to school. And gosh, good for you for just so quickly turning around, paying that off, doing things weird. So now you can be standing on this stage completely debt-free of those loans. Well done. That's impressive.
Way to go. We're proud of you.
Thank you.
Excellent job. I have never heard anyone say, I spend most of my day on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and it just gives me such peace.
It makes me feel so good about myself.
I'm so peaceful as a result. I never heard a soul say that ever.
No.
These are not things people say. So that hiatus was a really good idea, and it allows you to stay focused and be around. You can control the voices that are coming at you. Only have the cheerleaders around. Get rid of the Debbie Downers, and focus and go. Very well done. Good stuff. What was the hardest part for you?
I thought a lot about this question, preparing for this actually. And my answer isn't the typical, it was budgeting or committing to the plan. For me, it was the fact that I had just left school and I lived there for 6 years. I created a new family there. I had everything there. And then my job search actually landed me going back to my hometown, which I was not prepared for. So I think the hardest part of me was dealing with these two worlds, these two seasons that would normally be happening at separate times are now clashing. So for me, it was really taking care of my mental health and dealing with the mourning process of everything that I lost moving back home.
Yeah, and not only back to your own hometown, but you moved back into your parents after being away.
Yeah,
and that's a gutsy, courageous move, because that's a step down. It was a nice gesture and it was very generous and it helped you mathematically, but emotionally that was kind of a punch, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely hurt my ego a little bit.
Yeah, I can imagine. You're a sharp young lady. I know your parents are proud of you. We are. Very, very well done. We got a copy of The Legacy Journey for you. That is the next chapter in your story for sure. You have you've used this why to change your life, and you'll never have those issues around anxiety, because now you'll always tell money what to do. And you discovered that is not when you got out of debt, but when you started the process of getting out of debt, the peace came, didn't it?
Right away. Yeah. It was pretty quickly.
Just as soon as I start telling the money what to do, I get peace from it. I don't have to get there yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, very well done. And we're going to give you a copy of the Total Money Makeover for you to give away, and start somebody else's journey. Pay it forward a little bit. So good stuff. All right, it's Lauren from the Harrisburg, Pennsylvania area. $75,000 paid off in 21 months, making $42,000 to $50,000. What a great life change. Count it down. Let's hear a debt-free scream.
3, 2, 1. I'm debt-free!
Yeah! I love it. Her other point was what you believe to be true.
Yeah.
And the old story Dan Miller used to tell, the circus elephant, and I don't know, we all heard it somewhere from somebody, but, you go in, there's a bull elephant that's, many, many tons, could push over a house, and he's standing there with a rope, a small rope around his ankle, and a small stake driven in the ground. He could easily just flex that ankle and that stake would go flying. And you say, well, why would he stand there? How can that rope possibly hold him? And the trainer says, well, the rope can't hold him. What holds him is his belief that it can hold him. Because when he was a baby elephant, we put a chain with a big stake and around his ankle, and he pushed against it, pulled against it to no avail. And now he believes that the chain is still there.
Yeah.
And he can't do it, so he won't do it.
Won't try.
Really believing. You might find that what's holding you back is just is some kind of shadow from the past, not the reality of the truth.
And I think that's what kills people like me and you when we see people like that stuck, whether it's in their finances or in some other area of their life. With Ken Coleman, with people in careers they hate, they think, well, this is just as good as it gets. This is what I have to do. This is life. This is my the
People
cards I'm
like
dealt.
me can't get ahead.
Yeah. You don't know how my story. You don't know what and maybe you don't, but gosh, it's like there's so much of it that you can do that you may not even realize because of that belief keeping you stuck. And it's just it's painful to watch, honestly.
Yeah. And it's you kind of give it the kind of German Shepherd look, though. What? Well, how's that rope holding that elephant?
Right.
How is that? How is it a person that looks like that and is educated like that believes they're stuck? They're not stuck.
Right.
But they believe they are, so ta-da, they are.
Right. Right.
And that's a beautiful point that Lauren just made.
Yeah.
Very powerful. Very powerful. This is The Ramsay Show. Christy Wright, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. Elena is with us in Lexington, Kentucky. Hi, Elena. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Okay, so thank you so much for taking my call. My question is, so my husband retired from the military in February of 2020. In processing the retirement paperwork, there was an issue with enrolling in the survivor benefit program, so it was denied. Since then, we have appealed to try to overturn the denial, but have not been successful. So the last open enrollment for the SBP, is what they call it, was in 2005. And to have the SBP, it costs 6% of the retirement income. If we are to buy into the program, we would owe any missed premiums. So my question is, should we continue to pursue this?
No.
Okay.
Not worth it. No.
Okay.
So the goal is for you to get a portion of his military retirement upon his death, but what you are paying for that with the scenario you laid out is outrageous.
Right. Okay.
Not only in lost current benefits, but in the back pay where they're going to go back after you on the whole thing. No, you're fighting for something you don't even want, really, at the end of the day. So what is his retirement income?
$3,000 a month.
Okay, $36,000 a year. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And how old is he?
He is 59.
Okay. What kind of shape's he in?
Great shape.
Medically good. Medically good.
Yes.
Okay. Go to XanderInsurance.com and get a term life insurance policy for $400,000 on him.
Okay.
If he dies, $400,000 goes into a mutual fund. If it paid 10% for easy numbers right now, that would be $40,000 a year, which is more than his retirement is.
Okay.
Which is $36,000 a year.
Okay.
Okay, so what we're doing is we're offset, and that term policy will cost you a whole lot less than what you're getting ready to pay for survivor benefits that won't even amount to $3,000 a month.
Gotcha.
Okay, so
no, it would be half.
Yeah. Okay. If you only want to buy a $300,000 or even a $250,000 policy, $250,000 would be $2,000 a month coming in if you invested that at 10%. You follow me? Now, here's the other thing. You're not going to keep this policy forever. He's 59. You're probably going to get it for 5 years, maybe 10 years, something like that. Okay. Now, And during that time, you're going to have money in savings that you would live off of, because you're going to drop that life insurance policy when it gets super expensive later.
Okay.
But if he's healthy at 59, you'll be surprised how cheaply you can buy a couple $100,000 on him.
Okay.
And that's what I would do. No, you don't want that survivor benefit. Interesting call. Thank you.
Yeah.
And tell him thanks for his service to his country. We appreciate it. So when you sign up for a pension plan of any kind, but certainly the military, you can agree to take a reduced amount while you're alive, and then your spouse gets the money. Gets a further reduced amount upon your death, or your spouse gets nothing. And so the survivor benefit is who survives after the death of the person that's supposed to be getting the pension. And so you can, it kind of, when you run the numbers back out, the amount you end up getting, what it costs you in reduced benefits currently usually doesn't work very good.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Usually you're better off to self-insure through the death of that person, or buy a policy, like a term policy like we were just talking about. And that gets them out. Dawn is with us in Phoenix. Hey, Dawn, how are you?
Hey, Dave. Thanks for taking my call, and thanks for all the advice you give everybody. Appreciate it.
Sure. What's up?
Hey, so I have no debt except for 2 properties that I own. One of them's my primary residence, and one of them's a rental property. I'm getting ready to sell my rental property, and I'm thinking that I should use all the proceeds that I get from this to pay off the mortgage for my primary residence.
Yay!
Is that the move I should make?
Is that a question, Donna? It's like, should I do that?
Yes. And
what else? I mean, that sounds brilliant. So what's your income?
So jointly we're about $275.
Okay. And how old are you guys?
I'm 53 and my husband's 55.
Okay. And so you have this wonderful income, and now you have not a payment in the world.
Right. And then the other question is, should we bump up our retirement investment to like 50% of our income, or what should we do with this extra money? I know we want to invest. We're very generous with our community, friends, family,
Good.
People in need. So just trying to figure out how we need to take care of the old people, us, when we get that age.
Somehow I got a feeling you're going to be all right. But here's the thing. How much you're 100% debt free. You've got your emergency fund. How much should I invest? And the answer to the question is a question. How wealthy do you want to be? Because the more you invest,
I want to be as wealthy as I can,
There you
so
go.
I can continue
There you
to, help others.
Yep. So the point is, obviously the more you invest, the wealthier you're going to become, right?
Right.
And so the more you consume instead of investing, the less that formula works. There's 3 things you can do with money when you get to baby step 7. You can give it, and you should. You can enjoy it, and you better. And you can invest it. Oh, you definitely better do that one. The thing is, you need to put a very specific dollar amount on your generosity and say, every year we're going to give away this percentage of our income. Every year we're going to invest this percentage of our income. Every year we are going to enjoy this percentage of our income. And that allows you to buy something silly, guilt-free, because it's budgeted.
Okay.
Because you ought to buy something silly, guilt-free.
Right.
You're rich.
We've been working hard for a long time. That would be nice.
That's right, you have.
Yeah, you've been working your butts off. You make $275,000 a year. You have not a payment in the world. You did it. Touchdown. Do the dance. Spike the ball.
Okay. It just seems so weird to be at this point.
Yep, it is.
It's a good weird.
I got to tell you, it is an emotional problem when you get there. Because it's almost like you have survivor guilt. Like everybody in the plane died but me. Why was I spared? Right. And it's like, how did I get here? I'm a kid from Antioch, Tennessee. I'm sitting in a $150 million building, and I paid cash for it. How did I get here? I can't get my head around that emotionally. And yet I do mathematically know how I got here, and I do know the calluses on my hand and on my brain from all the hard work I've done to get here. I get all of that, but then you still go, holy crap.
Right.
I sit here in freaking utopia.
Yeah.
It's got my name on the outside of it. Look, Sharon, it's got our name on it. You know, it's like you have these moments where it's survivor guilt.
You're
a little
still
bit.
that kid from Antioch inside, you know?
Yeah.
You're like, how do we do it? But like you said, Dave, it's the hard work. And I love that advice. It's so similar to an earlier call. Like, what do we do at baby step 7? You need a new goal, a new percentage. You need to know what your vision is in this new stage. It's gonna take a minute to wrap your head around what this looks like and even feels like with that different type of problem. But it's a good kind of problem to have.
Yeah. And oh, by the way, you know, just go ahead and warn you guys, these baby steps like work.
Yeah, you will get there if you do this.
And so you're going to have this emotional problem.
Yeah.
If you keep doing the stuff I teach you to do, because you're going to become wealthy. And then you're going to go, I just spent on a car more than I made one year. How? And it doesn't even matter. It's not even close. It's just a stinking, you know, you can't get your, and you know, and it doesn't even compare to what we did generosity-wise. It doesn't even compare to what we did investment-wise, but it still feels weird.
Yeah. Like, oh, this really does work. This really does work. We're doing it.
Yeah. Expect to have emotional whiplash when you get there.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like it's an out-of-body experience.
Yep.
If you get used to it, you're kind of arrogant or weird. I'll just go ahead and tell you, expect the emotional whiplash. It goes with the territory.
Yep.
This is The Ramsay Show.
Hey guys, this is James, senior producer for The Ramsay Show. Did you know over 18 million people listen to The Ramsay Show every week? And a lot of those people listen on one of our 600 plus radio stations across the country. To find a station near you, head to theramsayshow.com.
This is The Ramsay Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's The Ramsay Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. Christy Wright, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today as we answer your questions about your life and about your money. Jason is with us in Phoenix. Hi, Jason. Welcome to The Ramsay Show.
Hey, Dave. Hey, Christy. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. What's up?
So, me and my spouse, we make a combined income of almost $400,000 a year.
Wow.
And I started listening. Yeah, we're incredibly blessed. And we started listening to your show about a year ago, and we've been cranking away on debt. But I got to admit, I haven't been completely following the steps. We have been continuing to completely fund our 401k during baby step 2. And my question is, because of deferring taxes, should we continue to completely fund our 401ks, or should we shut that off until we finish out this last $105,000 in debt?
How quickly are you going to finish?
Year and a half.
Okay.
If not sooner.
Well, I tell people to stop their retirement temporarily. So what's that going to cost you? A year and a half of investing, and which is certainly not the end of the world. It's not going to mean that you are bankrupt. It's not going to mean, and if you don't follow our guidance and keep doing what you're doing, are you still going to win? Yeah, you'll still win. That's a year and a half if you're funding the 401k. It's a year if you don't, right?
Correct.
You should pay off $100,000 in a year making $400, really. I mean, really. That leaves you $300 to struggle through on.
Barely squeeze by.
It's going to be rough.
What kind of debt is it?
It's one vehicle, one RV, and a home equity loan.
Okay. Yeah. The point is that the reason you're you're going to be fine either way, and you kind of know that before you asked, right? The reason we tell people to stop, even though it is mathematically incorrect, to temporarily stop their retirement savings, even if there's a match while they get out of debt, is simply this. Personal finance is 80% behavior. It's 20% head knowledge. And the power of focus supersedes short-term mathematical gains. And so getting this done and leaning in with a singular focus and a growl in your voice when you write down your budget each month, that is actually 10 years from today will have made you more money than this 1 year of investing would have made you. And so that's the argument, and that's why we tell people to do it, because doing three things at once causes you to get nothing done. Now, in your case, you've got so stinking much wood that you can throw on this fire that the fire's going to keep burning anyway. You're going to make it because, my God, you just make so much money. I mean, you're overwhelming the question with your income,
Gotcha. And I mean,
in other words, you can get away with screwing this up and still come out.
You're going to be okay either way. The thing is, Jason, is it's up to you how long you want this to last. Because if you want to be out of debt in a year, stop your retirement. If you want to be out of debt sooner, put more than whatever you're putting on it. You take the money you're putting in retirement, put that towards your debt. Maybe you live on less for a shorter amount of time. You could be out of debt even faster. It's up to you. How quickly do you want to be out of debt?
Here's the only, in your situation, it's a harder argument to make is what I'm saying, but still philosophically and conceptually, what we teaching people to stop stands. In your case, maybe there's one other argument, because you're obviously high performance people. And me too. So I sometimes will engage in a behavior that is not necessary for me to win because I want new grooves in my brain. I want the old sewage washed out. And so this is like breakthrough behavior. You're shifting your behaviors, you're shifting your habits, and it kind of pisses you off that you have to stop this. And it's like, this makes me never go into debt again. And if I kind of play it around and wallow out, I didn't get the groove in my brain. I didn't get the crap washed off my brain from the bad way of doing it. This is like a cleansing, a reset.
Yeah.
It's the cold shower thing,
Yeah.
The what do they call them? The cooling pool. When you jump into the cool, it shocks the system and resets. And for high performance people, that's necessary.
Well, and it's the people that stand on this debt-free stage that tell their story. It's this visceral, never going back because of the sacrifice they had to go through to get to that point. And if you don't have that sacrifice, if you don't have some type of, man, this is uncomfortable and hard and I'm a little mad about it, then you may go back. That's a good point. You may go back. You're like, I went that hard. Let's do it again.
I don't think he's going to go back. But what I'm saying is it just
retrains your.
It's like the groove, my habit, my behaviors are permanently shifted.
Yeah.
Because I forced myself through some discomfort.
Right, yeah.
That's a high-performance activity. Mm-hmm. People that are high-performance do that kind of thing. So that's I catch myself doing that in all kinds of different areas of my life. I'm like, okay, I got to break that. And in order to break that, I got to go over here. Mm-hmm. And, I got to create an uncomfortable thing so that I never go back over there.
Yeah.
And that kind of a deal. So that's kind of where I would throw this to. But either way, dude, you're going to be just fine. You keep cranking that. If you do either one of these two plans, mathematically, you're going to be fine. But that's the argument for stopping your retirement temporarily while you're in baby step 2. And the rest of you, don't even call me and ask that question because I'll just tell you, don't do it. I'm not going to give you as much grace as I gave him because you're not making $400,000. All right. LaQuinton,
get to where you are.
I can just hear it right now. I can hear him dialing up right now. LaQuinton isn't smart. You told him. Hey, LaQuinton, what's up?
Hey, Dave. Hey, Christy. Thanks for having me. Huge fan of the show.
Thanks.
Okay, so I have kind of a two-part question here. So earlier this year in February, my new bride and I were married because of the whole COVID thing. Obviously, we pushed off a larger wedding ceremony until the summer of this year.
Cool.
And that's coming up next month. One of the questions that we've been struggling with is, and we've honestly tried to do the Dave Ramsey plan, starting with baby step one, like twice, and we've blown through our emergency fund like twice, only because obviously the wedding's coming up and we've needed to take care of some expenses.
That's not an emergency. That's piss poor planning.
You're already in trouble, LaQuentin. You're already in trouble.
You've already done, you need to budget this wedding out. It's not an emergency when you decide you're going to hire a photographer. It's a decision. So you don't touch your emergency fund for that. So, hey, hold on. We're going to give you a wedding gift. We'll put you through Financial Peace University with a Ramsey Plus membership. Hold on. I'll take care of you. We'll get you straightened out here, brother. What makes our show unique is that we genuinely care about our listeners. We're intentional about choosing the best advertisers to recommend. Blinds.com is no exception. They offer high-quality window treatments at unbelievable prices, and they make it simple to shop blinds, shades, and interior shutters with easy online ordering, free shipping, and a guaranteed perfect fit. Go to Blinds.com and take advantage of this week's special savings. Imagine what your income could do for you if it wasn't going to somebody in the form of payments like credit card companies or student loan companies or your car payment. What if you had no payments? You know what you were just feeling in your heart? That could really happen for you. It doesn't have to take as long as you think it does either. You can get there, and you can get there with Financial Peace University. It's the class that's helped over 6 million people learn the proven plan to get out of debt and become wealthy. But it's not enough just to learn the plan. You've actually got to do the plan, put it in action every day. And the way you do that is by budgeting with every dollar, and you get both. Financial Peace University and every dollar with a Ramsey Plus membership. You can create a life where your money works for you, not against you. It's time to ditch this debt fast and for good. Start your free trial at Ramsey Plus by texting TRIAL to 33789. A free trial by texting TRIAL to 33789. Christy Wright, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Louise is in Akron, Ohio. Hi, Louise. How are you?
Hi, Dave and Christy. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure. What's up?
I have a question about starting a Roth after retiring. My situation is I have a little over $100,000 in a 457. I'm 56. I retired a couple years ago, and I don't plan on needing it anytime soon. So I wanted to take out about $10,000 a year from it and put that in a Roth 450 or in a Roth so that it grows tax free. The 457 plan sent me the paperwork for it, but they also sent me a lot of information about how I make more in the 457 because their fees are lower. So is moving some of it to a Roth a good idea?
What's it invested in the 457?
It's invested in a couple of, they call it large cap, mid cap, and small cap funds.
So what kind of returns have you been getting?
I've been getting some pretty good returns. I'm averaging about 12%.
Yeah, okay. That's about what you should be able to do. Good. Okay. So I don't know that they're correct on the fees. I think that's probably just them trying to protect their accounts, their portfolio. But I don't think you're going to gain a huge amount by moving money out of this to an IRA in mutual funds that perform similarly. I think you're going to have about a break even there. The only thing you could have is the money from this point forward could grow tax-free. However, you're going to have to pay taxes on whatever you move. So do you have some extra money that's not this account?
What they do is they withhold 20% of it.
No, that's not. That they don't either. That's not up to them. That's if you withdraw it. If you withdraw it, they withhold 20%. But that's not going to be their option. You can roll the whole thing to a traditional IRA, and they don't withhold a dime. Then when you roll it from a traditional, they're not allowed to withhold on that. That's a direct transfer rollover.
Okay.
Into a
traditional. I would have enough to cover the taxes on about $10,000 a year.
Okay. If you roll it all to a traditional, get with a SmartVestor Pro, put it in similar mutual funds, you're going to make about the same money. And if you roll $10,000 a year out, you're going to have about a $2,500 tax bill on that. You're going to cash flow that tax bill. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes, correct.
So you don't have any other money.
Yeah, I've got an emergency fund and some other money in a fund for like home repairs, car repairs.
Okay. And are you working your encore career after you retired? Because you're young.
Yes, I'm running a small farm.
Okay. So what kind of money are you making there?
Not a lot. Last year I grossed about $3,000, but I'm having the time of my life.
Yeah. Okay. So I want you to start making some money while you're having the time of your life too. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get a little bit of business model. I'll turn you over to Christy on the farm here. She's also someone who's lost money on a farm. So
I'm with you, Louise. I was having a lot of fun. A lot of work, but a lot of fun. Yeah, in addition to everything Dave's talking about, I'll send you my book, Business Boutique, Woman's Guide for Making Money Doing What She Loves. You can do both. You can have fun. You can play, enjoy the farm, and also make some income that will help take the pressure off, give you some options, and just get that income up a little bit. So we'll send you that as well.
Yeah, here's the reason I'm pushing you on that. Okay, number one, you're young and you got a lot of time left, a lot of runway left to on-ramp to go do something big and fun, and make some money. Number two, you kind of need to. $100,000 isn't that much money.
True.
So your nest egg's not huge. And I would love for it to be, if you told me you had $1 million in there and you wanted to goof off on the farm and make no money, we can talk about it. But I need you to grow this nest egg for you. And screwing around with $10,000 is not fixing this. Adding tens of thousands of dollars into your investments every year is going to fix it and get this thing up, and that's going to require income. So that's what I would tell you to do, is work on that side of the equation too. Hold on, we'll have Madison pick up. We'll send you a copy of Christy's book. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Rachel is in California. Hi, Rachel. Welcome to the Ramsay Show.
Hi, what an honor to talk to you both. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure. What's going on?
My question today for you is, me and my husband, we have about $50,000 in a savings account in the bank. It was going to be used towards me going to school. However, we had a child. He's about a year now, and I'm a stay-at-home mom, and my husband loves being the breadwinner. I'm itching to go back to work. I'm itching to go back to school, but he wants to use that $50,000 that we have to start a business. And he's always had businesses. And in this case, he wants to start a trucking business. And we both really just need some wisdom and guidance what to do next.
This is interesting, Rachel. This is an interesting question because this isn't as much about money as it is about values. What you want to do with the money versus what he wants to do with the money. So I'm curious, if you go back to work, what do you do? What do you want to do?
I'm a veterinary technician, and I would be going back to that, and the money was going to be for veterinary school, which is, I understand, a huge commitment with a child, and even just to go back to work would be great, but I want to respect what my husband wants for the family structure.
Yeah. This is this is a conversation that I think would be so beneficial to have with a counselor, not because y'all are broken and your marriage is having a hard time, but sometimes it can be so helpful to have a third party walk through what are his fears of you going back to work? What are his desires? What are your desires to go back to work? What are your fears around money and that type of thing? And dig to the deeper layers going on in this conversation that I believe is a lot more than just financial. But here's the key. Both of you need to be heard. Both of you need to be a participant. Both of you need to be respected. He does need to be respected, as do you, Rachel. Both of you need to be respected, heard, seen, and both of you need to speak into the decision.
If you do something that makes you concede your life in the name of respecting his view of the structure of the family, that creates an unhealthy relationship 10 years from today.
You will resent it.
That's not going to work. You can only hold your breath so long. So it needs to be where both of you have worked this thing through and you went, you know what, I like that. I don't like it as much as B, but I like A, and let's go do this. And both of you are going to concede something, but where you just say, well, I'm going to completely walk away from what I care about, my dreams, my thing, because of his view of the family structure. Yeah, that sounds bad when you say that.
Yeah.
So I think that the beautiful music is made when both of you can play your instruments loud, and even if they're not in perfect harmony, but at least you're both playing them loud. So I think Christy's right on seeing someone and having them help you unpack that. Marisa are with us in New Haven, Connecticut. It says on my screen you guys are debt-free. Congratulations.
Thank you. Hi, Dave.
Hey, how much have you guys paid off?
We've paid off $88,608.27.
Awesome. Way to go.
How long did that take?
That took us 22 months.
Wow. And your range of income during that time?
$140,000 up to $175,000.
Good.
Awesome.
Good. What do you guys do for a living?
I'm in finance.
And I was a teacher. Now I'm a stay-at-home mom and a freelance writer.
Cool.
Yeah. And good. So what kind of debt was the $89,000?
Oh, we had it all. 2 car loans, 401k loan, student debt, medical bills, and, of course, credit cards.
Of course. You guys were like normal. How long have y'all been married? 10 years?
13.
13, almost like I guessed it right. Good, okay. So after 11 years of marriage, you looked up 22 months ago and said something's got to change. Tell us the story. What happened?
Yeah, absolutely. We were just sick and tired of living paycheck to paycheck, and especially not knowing where all our money was going at the end of the year.
Yeah, the end of the month was always like, where did it go? We had no idea. And then, Dave, you were a guest on another podcast that we both listened to, and he came home from work one day and said, hey, did you know, this guy Dave Ramsey was on, and I really like what he had to say, and asked if I can grab the Total Money Makeover the next time I went to the library. And I had said, oh, I heard that today too, and I really liked it, so I'll get the book and I'll read it with you. And the next day, I think we got the Total Money Makeover, read it in oh gosh, maybe 2 days, and that was
whose
it.
podcast?
We drank the Kool-Aid.
Cool. Whose podcast?
You were on Ben Shapiro's Sunday special.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Good. Yeah. Ben and I have become friends since then. That's very nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's a great guy. He's a great guy. Their whole team just moved to Nashville to get out of California just a little while back.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. New neighbors.
Well, cool. Way to go, guys. That's so fun. I'll have to tell him that happened. He'll like hearing that. So $89,000 later, the total money makeover told you how to do it. You go and do it, right?
We did.
Talk a little bit about what this was like in your marriage, because y'all had been married for over a decade when you started this plan. Talk a little bit about what it was like to work as a team and have such an intense goal.
Yeah, absolutely. This is probably the biggest thing for our marriage, too, is just having the joint commitment to tackle this and change our spending behavior, and especially change our family tree.
Wow.
And it all started off with, us coming together, reading this book, like Maria said, drank the Kool-Aid, and then we sat down together for the first time, did a monthly budget, and together, we took that first step on this new lifestyle change.
Yeah. Good for you.
And I would say it actually, we've been through quite a lot in 13 years, but I would say that this was probably just brought us so much closer than any of the other things we've done over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does
so
that.
It was really, it's just amazing in that sense, what it did for our marriage.
Yeah, the only way to pull it off is to work together, and the only way to work together is to be more unified than you've ever been. So, yeah, it's a pretty intense, transformative process for sure. What do you tell people? What do you tell people the key to getting out of debt is?
I was like Brad said, just the joint commitment and being willing and able to make those changes, especially in your behavior, doing it together and communicating your goals and your, hopes for the future. And we've done a lot of those dream meetings over the last 2 years, and that's, and of course the budget's huge because we never did that before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When we wrote out our debts, I put it on like this little drawing. I made it like a big brick wall, smallest to largest, and just staring at it, you're like, this is going to take forever. But you got to take the first step, and it happened a lot faster than we thought. And I know you preach that too on your show, and it's true. But it still feels when you're at the beginning like, oh God, this is going to take forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a huge mountain sitting in front of you. $89,000 worth. Yeah. Pretty cool.
We thought it was going to take a long time.
Yeah.
It was very daunting.
Yeah. What was the hardest part?
Beginning.
What was the hardest part? The dauntingness?
I think it was actually the hustle. Marisa also did waitressing to help accelerate this payoff. So we would just be passing each other. I would come home from work, and she'd be on her way out. And, we have 3 young kids, so no breaks. We went intense. So I think just getting at it, that was hard. And we did that for a while. But it paid off in the end, so it could have taken a lot longer. But
that's right.
She's a tough woman, so she got after it.
Yeah, we didn't see each other much.
Yeah. Well, you increased your income $35,000 during this time.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, you had to be, unless somebody just got some inordinate raises, you guys have been after it. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
We hustled.
Yeah. Well, that's what it takes. And the good news is now that you're free. How's it feel now that you're free?
Oh my gosh. I think for me, the freedom was the biggest part. And that really hit me back in the fall when it was time for schools to reopen, and our school district was so wishy-washy, and they're going back, they're not. And at that point, we were on our last debt, and our snowball was big enough where we were able to still, make our snowball payments, but also cash flow private school for our oldest daughter for the year. And I felt like this is what freedom feels like. This is, I'm not
using debt to support it, or just not knowing how we're supporting it, just doing it.
Yeah, right. And just being able to know that we didn't have to be at the mercy of, teachers unions or politicians.
Amen.
It was a big, like, that. So that for me was I think when it really hit, that, like, wow, look what we can do.
Yeah, money has no value at all except what it will do. And one of the things it does is it gives you options.
Yes.
That you don't have if you don't have money. And you had options. You could reach over to a private school, keep the kid rolling, and, you can avoid this. That's one of the reasons that the pandemic had such a hard time. The hardest people hit in the pandemic, the economic suppression from the pandemic, was the folks on the bottom rungs. I mean, who lost their jobs? Well, it wasn't white collar executives at Wall Street. They didn't lose their jobs. Who lost their jobs were the maids at the hotel because the hotel was closed down. The waitresses, but you were waiting tables. You saw it, and those restaurants closing up. Those are the people that could least afford to lose their jobs were the ones that lost their jobs. It was a horrible thing, horrible inequality of how the economic suppression brought on by the governments in this, how it affected everybody. So anyway, enough of that. Way to go, you guys. I'm so proud of you. So proud of you. We got a copy of The Legacy Journey for you. That is the next chapter in your story for sure. You have changed and set your legacy. It is a new thing for you. So proud of you. Also got a copy of The Total Money Makeover because that's what changed you guys, and now you can give it to somebody when they ask and you say, oh, read this, and I'll give you an extra copy to give away. And I'm glad the book was there to help you in the podcast and everything else. Brad and Marissa, $89,000 paid off in 22 months, making $140 to $175. Count it down. Let's hear a debt-free scream.
3, 2, 1.
We're debt-free.
This is how it's done.
That's awesome.
Wow, 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 wow. Great job. Great job. Our scripture of the day, Ecclesiastes 10:10. If the axe is dull and its edge unsharpened, more strength is needed, but skill will bring success. John Maxwell says, small disciplines repeated with consistency every day lead to great achievements gained slowly over time. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Jay is in Orlando. Hi, Jay. How are you?
Hey, Dave. Hey, Christy. How are you guys today?
Better than I deserve. How can we help?
That's great. So I have I hope a unique question. I wrote, so I'm a cybersecurity architect, and I wrote a framework similar to your baby steps for cybersecurity addiction, cyber addiction. And I want to know what to do with it next. You know, as cyber guys, we're always writing like root cause analysis, and I wrote that. I wrote a cause, a condition, and a cure. And there's a lot of parallels to your baby steps and that kind of thing. And I kind of, like, I got it. Like, I've figured out what to say. Now I got to get people to say it to. So I wanted to call and ask what you would recommend.
Who's it for?
People that are addicted.
So it
to
really
things.
More specifically than that.
Right. I mean,
like, what's your persona?
Sorry. So the groups would be families. Like, I used to do a lot of pastoral counseling as a chaplain. Families, interpersonal marriages, just people. Right. People. The way things are working now with a lot of applications. There's a lot of addiction type, like UIs that are being created. where it's kind of like you walk in the front end of a casino, right? And there's lots of things going on. I don't want to get too geeky on you, but there's this psychometric mapping that, anyway, I've got a way to prove all that. I got a way to help people out of that. I got a method very similar. Like I came down and I said, can I figure out what happened? Can I figure out how it's changing people? And can I figure out how to actually help them get out?
Mm-hmm.
And I got a way to do that.
In terms of cyber addiction, are we talking, I'm a little bit, just a little more clarification. Are you talking about like people addicted to online porn? Or are you talking about people just addicted to checking their Facebook 73,000 times a day?
Or playing games on their apps or something?
Great question. So actually, it's my opinion that in all those cases, the same thing is happening in all those cases, right? It's like being addicted to food or addicted to anything else. There's a change that occurs with a high adherence to any type of UI like that. So your mind is being remapped no matter what. So I think the cure would be very similar in all those cases.
Well, I think the reason I asked the question is I think not about the process, but what I'm trying to get clarification on is your customer base is different if you're going after people that are addicted to porn than if you're going after 52-year-old women who can't get off of Facebook.
That's why I was asking who's your market, like who are you specifically creating this for?
I would start out with families.
Okay.
The first questions that I get most of the time is, I can't connect with my kids anymore. So they got their nose buried in it could be like with young adolescent males, there's a lot of porn going on, right?
Oh, definitely.
And there's a lot of push towards there. It's like prevalent. But when you're talking with teenage girls, right, it's a different thing, right? And if you look at the whole family unit, really everybody's got their hook. Everybody's got their different hook, from fathers like me to, everybody. So I would approach it from the family point of view, first of all. I think that's the way I would do it. But
okay, what you're going to struggle with is you need to, in order to get this to market, you need to narrow your persona. We've asked you the question 3 different ways, and we've gotten broad answers every time. I want to get this to families. That's just too broad. So you need to say, I want to get this to families that are doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Okay. That have
families that are disconnected, that aren't having conversations with their kids.
That's all families.
Yeah.
That's all families.
But building that out from even a income level, a psychographic, geographic, however you want to, and then you'll know how to talk to them. Because
and where to find them.
Yeah.
Where to find them, because that's the trick. The irony is that you'll probably find them online.
Yeah.
You may be doing some blogging. You may be doing some stuff to get their attention, and then with keywords, and then set that out into the Facebook universe and out into the Google universe, and begin to pull back with SEO. But again, you need to be targeting something more specifically than you are.
And the person in the family that's going to do something about it. So it doesn't have to be a certain gender, just moms or just dads, but pick a person that you're speaking to, the one that is motivated to fix this problem. Because what's interesting about your situation, Jay, with this specific problem is many people have this problem and don't know it's a problem. Yeah, ironically, they do with money as well. They have a money problem and they don't know that they do.
Yeah, is this
Half
something,
of the job is telling them they have a problem.
Is this something you get to the marriage counseling community, the pastoral counseling community, and then they deliver it to their constituents? Or are you going direct to the consumer? And the more you're going to go direct to the consumer, the more you're going to have to decide exactly who it is. At least for the first wave.
Right.
You can broaden it later.
Yeah.
But for the first wave, for the first wave of Financial Peace, the book, we were not going after 65-year-olds. Back then, in 1994, 65-year-olds, most of them had common sense. And the book was about common sense. I'm not sure I can say that today about 65-year-olds, but the ones from 30 years ago, that are now 90, had common sense.
Yeah.
And so I was not going after them. I was going after the 34-year-old mom sitting in a carpool line with student loan debt, credit card debt, and I had a fight with her husband about the money. And so that's what Christy means about a persona. Now, once I know that she's the target, then that changes the content message, the narrative that you use, and you know where to locate them. Where do you find a 34-year-old mom sitting in a carpool line? And where do you find a 65-year-old white male? I don't need him, and so I don't need. That's a Rush Limbaugh listener when Rush was alive. And no disrespect or anything, but I just know that that's not my market.
Right.
And that's not where we're going with it.
Right.
And so who are we trying to help? And then we're going to get it very narrow and go straight to them, and then that'll help you locate the pool of potential prospects.
Yeah. Let me give you something real specific and tactical that you can do, Jay, because it sounds like to me that you're in the early stages of this. It's still somewhat theory. I know you said you have steps and you have a plan and it's proven and it will work and so on. I think that's great. What I want you to do is take that to market on a really small, kind of experimental research basis. So reach out to anybody you know. That could be family, friends, your church, workplace, community, Facebook, I don't care. Just people that you know that fall within the general target market of who you're trying to help, maybe some families that represent, that ideal customer. And I want you to take them through it. Maybe it's for free, just for feedback. And then as you walk them through this framework, have them go through the plan. You're going to get testimonials. You're going to get feedback on things that need to change. You'll learn more about your messaging, how they describe it. We'll give you some words to put to it of how you can describe it to more people. It will also give you a base to start to ask for referrals and word of mouth. It's a very organic way to start as you're getting this thing to market, and then you can get a little more sophisticated through online marketing, whether that's through social media or other paid marketing, that type of thing, once you get your language right. But you need to have real people help you with the language of how they talk about it so you can talk about how they talk about it. So just start with what you have, the people that you know, take some people through it, and that'll give you some feedback to begin to grow it a little bit.
Yeah, the language that the customer uses is more important than the language that you think they should use.
Yes.
Actually,
that informs everything we do. Yeah.
The words that they use and how they use them and how they truncate some of your thoughts into single words.
Yes.
And that kind of a thing. And so that's what you're looking for, because that calls you to build your content and your narrative out then. So very interesting discussion. Yeah. Jay, it sounds like you're onto something, man.
Sounds like it's needed for sure.
Oh, I know it's needed. Don't lay it down. But let's get it narrow enough that you can get it off the ground, that it has some power, has some oomph. So, good question, sir. Christy, good hour.
Thanks. It's great.
Good job to James Childs and Kelly Daniels in the booth. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. We'll be back with you before you know it. In the meantime, remember, there's ultimately only one way to financial peace, and that's to walk daily with the Prince of Peace, Christ Jesus.
Hey, it's Kelly, associate producer for The Ramsay Show. This episode is over, but if you heard about an event, product, or service and didn't have a chance to write it down, don't worry. We list everything you've heard about during this episode in the podcast show notes section, or head to theramsayshow.com. Thanks for listening.